So, if you're like me, you've heard the seemingly infinite different spins of this whole CineStill controversy, specifically them trying to trademark their 800T, which is not as easy as simply just doing that, mostly because they don't really own the film. So let's talk about it. So before we dive in, I think there's a couple things that we should understand so you can fully understand why so many photographers and people in general are having issue with this, because it isn't just simply a black and white issue, I guess. As many of us know, Kodak is still making films for Hollywood movies today. Look at Oppenheimer, which was just recently shot on Kodak 65mm large format negative film stocks using Kodak Vision 3 250D for exteriors and brighter day interiors, and Vision 3 500T for low light and night scenes. Similarly, Kodak is happy to sell you a giant spool of their film to you to repackage and re-spool, ultimately saving you money at the cost of your own manual labor and time. Well, with this, over the years, we've seen several companies buy up some of Kodak Vision 3 motion picture film, repackage and repurpose as their own, and with a veil over it, release it like it's some new chemical makeup on cellulose. This is precisely what CineStill is doing, well, to a certain extent. For their 800T and 50D rolls, they're purchasing massive bulk orders from Kodak's film. In this case, their 800T rolls are bulk-loaded Kodak 500T, but there is another process CineStill is doing with these films. CineStill does remove the remjet layer, which would be nearly impossible to do without a commercial setting until recently, as smaller labs have started to figure it out. Conversely, I've heard murmurs that CineStill might not even be doing this process themselves anymore, and Kodak may do it for them, but I'm not sure if there's any concrete or validity there. So here's where the problem lies. CineStill over the last couple months has been attempting to monopolize their film, which they don't even own, manufacture, or create. So with the rise of smaller companies figuring out how to remove this remjet layer, many have been able to basically recreate CineStill 800T, which again is not CineStill's original film stock, at a lower cost, and CineStill is obviously all up in arms about it. Specifically, CineStill reached out to Cat Labs, another re-spooler of this motion picture Kodak film, apparently sending a cease and desist and positioning to sue them. This is the official statement from Cat Labs. A few months ago, CineStill sued us and many other small businesses around the world. Some of these businesses that got sued are as small as a one-person entrepreneur just scraping by through sales of film directly to their communities. They sued us for what they see as an infringement of their trademark 800T, which they only registered late in 2022, just a few months before launching this global legal assault. Now, it turns out that all this effort was to try and stop a company from selling a product that competes with CineStill's own by threatening legal action against any stores and small businesses who carried this competing product, going as far as putting some sellers at risk of being banned from platforms they sell on due to direct complaints from CineStill to these platforms on the grounds of trademark violations. It goes on to say that CineStill then had a few trademark conditions around the words and usage of 800T or any variation of said name. If you want to dig more into the document yourself, I'll link it in the description below. So basically, CineStill is trying to strong arm anyone that is using this re-spooled film that they're also using, and specifically trying to call it the same name, using descriptors that people have used for film since, what, the 1960s? Both 800 and T describe the film's nature and shouldn't be able to be copyrighted. It would be like if Kodak tried to copyright 400 speed film and nobody could use 400 speed film to describe said film. It's just plain idiotic, corny, and makes CineStill look incredibly insecure. For them to feel the need to try and undermine companies that are doing the same thing as them with significantly less infrastructure, influence, manpower, etc. is pretty slimy and shady. Why can't you be happy with your multi-million-dollar business that is basically a third party selling Kodak film? You made it. Why feel the need to bully smaller brands that obviously don't have the legal power to fight back? If CineStill really wanted to pad their pocketbooks, they would have made a deal with Kodak, some type of back-end exclusivity deal where they could really reap the sweet, sweet benefits of their original success. Or if this was CineStill's actual original film that they had created, the chemistry for, the look, the branding, etc., sure, I think that that's fair to trademark and not want anyone to sell your own original film, but this is not the case. I saw someone on Reddit had reached out to CineStill on Instagram directly to see if they would comment, and basically said this was causing customer confusion, and we've heard from numerous shops, labs, and photographers asking if these brands were actually the same as our products. Like, yeah, no shit, homie, you're not selling anything actually original. It's just re-spooled Kodak film. And one of the funniest parts of it all is Kodak had an older motion picture film in the 90s called Kodak Vision 800T, color negative film 5289, so CineStill hasn't even created a fully unique name for their unique film. What a joke. Now, I don't want this to seem like I'm fully supporting Cat Labs in this either, as they've seemed to do some questionable practices over the years, as per the comments on Reddit talking about them, but I do think some notes are worth adding here about my thoughts on the whole thing. Now, obviously you know where I stand with the whole CineStill thing, but I do think the notion of selling this re-spooled film as a new film is silly and honestly should stop from whatever company it may be. With that being said, I'm totally not against shooting motion picture film at all. That's totally not what I'm saying. I'm more so saying the idea of kind of duping people into thinking that your rebranded Kodak Vision 3 re-spooled film is a new film and that you created it, etc. But it really is just the same as 90% of all these other new films on the market from people. I think the problem lies with the lack of transparency when it comes to that. In fact, I think motion picture film is a great way to shoot color negative film on a budget. But like I said, I think it is just a little questionable when businesses are kind of making it seem like this is their new film that they've created out of their labs. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you want to re-spool and sell Kodak motion picture film, that's totally fine and you should do it. But be transparent about it. Say that it's re-spooled motion picture film and that it's not this new film that you created. For example, if I started selling a film stock called MF250D that is just re-spooled Kodak Vision 3 and I try to sell it like it's something I created or came up with, or anything different than just Vision 3, I think it's deceptive and potentially straight up lying. Well, I'm not saying all companies that sell Kodak motion picture film are doing this, but I think many photographers are duped by a handful of companies thinking that they're getting a new film stock from a small one-man operation in 2023. I'm sorry to inform you, but you're not. So what does this mean for CineStill? I know for myself and many other photographers, I'll be swaying away from purchasing any CineStill film unless they can somehow come out and reconcile their actions, which I'm not even sure how they would do at this point with how deep they've dug their own hole. I know for myself, I want to see the film community grow, but in healthy ways, not climbing atop of one another or exploiting or tricking people to pad your own pocketbooks. That type of money-hungry, unfair capitalism and bullying doesn't really have a place in this potentially dying medium, and we need to work together to continue to see our beloved medium grow and thrive. So what do you guys think? I'm always interested to hear your opinions and see the discourse down below. I think with this, it is kind of, I don't want to say one-sided, but I have seen a good large portion of photographers thinking that this is kind of a shame of CineStill to try and take advantage of, especially this small niche community like that. But like I said, I don't think it's such a black and white topic, because the whole reselling re-spooled film with the veil over it is kind of tricky. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next video, and until next time, peace out, stay safe.